Anytime you talk to someone who grew up with Milon's Secret Castle, or even if you Google the game, you're going to get hit with a wave of worst, terrible, poor, and even more colorful synonyms along the way. But whenever I've scanned the back of the box, I always think it looks interesting. Plus, secrets and castles? Hey, sign me up! I love Zelda. Is it like Zelda? I like Castlevania. Is it like Castlevania? Well, no. No, it isn't. I have actually met a guy who tabs this as one of his favorite games. So who's right? The entire internet or this one guy I know? Let's see what's up with Milon's Secret Castle on the NES. The word secret should be underlined a couple dozen times on the cover of this game. I've played some obscure stuff on the NES. I've had to connect some really far apart and faded dots to make sense of clues in games before, but this game takes the freaking cake, then hides it in a wall, then removes the wall. Now there's no wall. Where's your cake now? Welcome to Milon's Secret Castle. As the story goes, Milon lives in a land called Hudson, named after the game's publisher, and while most people there communicate with music, Milon can't do that. He lacks the ability to understand people or music, so he decides to travel the land of Hudson and find others like him. Before heading out, though, he figures he'll swing by the castle and visit Queen Eliza. But when he gets there, turns out the evil warlord from the north has swept through the land, robbing everyone of their musical instruments, and Eliza is now held hostage inside the castle. Well, it's up to Milon to venture through the castle and fight the evil warlord so he can get everything back to normal. There is a formula to the game. Essentially, the castle is made up of floors, and you get to access one floor at a time. There are a few doors you can enter, and each one of those is a point of no return. You have to get the key and find the door to exit, and in the meantime, find money or other secret passages hidden within. Ever so often, you'll find a store where the hints are free, thank goodness, but the thing you'll likely need to complete the level isn't, and that's why hoarding money is important. After that, you may get to fight the boss, if you can find where they hang out. It's cryptic and non-intuitive, and to be honest, you aren't going to know you even need to be looking for a boss to fight. The bosses do basically the same thing, they just hop around and shoot at you, and they do a lot of damage. They graduate in difficulty as you go, and their firing patterns are random, plus Milon isn't super agile, so it can be frustrating. Beat a boss and ascend to the next level. So that's kind of the recipe here. Navigate some mazes, find a bunch of hidden stuff, and fight a boss. Thing is, each one of those is hard. From the very beginning, it's hard. As you notice, Milon is equipped with bubbles. Always be shooting bubbles. Never stop. If you do stop, a respawned enemy will sneak up on you, or one will shoot in from off screen, and the only way you can find secrets is by shooting everything. 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 If you find the umbrella, you can shoot your bubbles faster, which is awesome because you can shoot everything more rapidly. Everything. Also, push things too. If you find a block that you can't destroy with bubbles, but the ones around it could be, push it. And keep pushing it. It takes a little longer than you think. So why is this game difficult? It's just so wide open. To start, there are 3 doors you can enter. It's not clear what you're looking for or what you need. The hints are really obscure, like find a saw. Yeah, thanks. If I come across one, I'll know I've found it, I guess. Where the hell am I going to look for a saw? Turns out you have to get to the next level and then backtrack and get the saw out of a wall that has no door. There are hidden things like this everywhere. At some point, you have to make yourself small, but it's not clear if that's even possible or necessary until you do it. To do this, you buy a jar of medicine first, and then you walk under a punching bag so when it hits you on the head you become small. Otherwise it just hurts you. Gotta have that medicine. That's actually one of the first things in the game you have to figure out. This is the kind of game where having a walkthrough handy is almost required. If nothing else, just to get you started so you learn how the game operates. You get a life bar and there are health drops, but you only get 1 life and then it's game over. That's generally why this game is considered hard. However, there is a continue option spelled out in the manual. The manual skimped on a lot of important information, but did leave in the continue trick, and that's gotta account for something. If you get a game over, you have to hold down left and press start. It works well, it starts you back almost exactly where you died, but you can't use it until you beat the first boss, and the boss is hard enough to get to, much less defeat. So, yeah, if you're anything shy of purist, use whatever resources you need to get your feet under you in this one, and then use those continues to keep going. Once you have the continues on your side, it's not as bad because then you can go experiment and explore without such a huge setback. That said, it's still going to be a lot of painful trial and error to get through. It's a shame, because the obscurity is really the worst part. It's passable graphically, maneuvering and shooting can be fun, although Milon sometimes feels like he's wearing ankle weights. I didn't detect any instance where I felt a death came unfairly, although Milon has no period of invincibility after taking a hit, so enemies can drain you fast on contact, and even the music fits the vibes well enough. Ultimately, it's just the logical leaps required by the player to figure this one out that gives it a big no thanks from me. If you're one of those patient yet sadistic types who takes pride in figuring out the most random hints and clues classic games are known for, then this might be for you. And that one guy I know. A Game Boy version of the game released in 1993 and came with a password feature. It's mostly the same game, but scaled down a little. And some even say it's considerably easier. So there's that. There was a sequel to Milon's Secret Castle, but it stayed in Japan on the Famicom. Releasing 10 years after Milon's Secret Castle was Do-Re-Mi Fantasy. Hudson removed the exploration component and made this one a linear platformer where you still play as Milon, who is on a mission to rescue his friend from yet another evil wizard. The game is much more colorful and the vibes are more whimsical than the dark, evil castle vibes of the NES game. Well, that does it for Milon's Secret Castle on the NES. Stay away from evil wizards, and thanks for watching.